Hello everybody, it is May 9th, 2022, and we saw sub 30K Bitcoin today, finally. Alright, let's jump in. I want to first go over what I've been saying for months now. In fact, back in October, I think it was October 15th, I did a video as Bitcoin is approaching 69K where I said, I'm worried that this can go all the way down into the 30Ks again. At that time, it wasn't the highest probability scenario, but it was certainly a scenario that I was aware of. Since then, we've been tracking that, obviously, and it became the primary scenario sometime in December, which is when I sold everything. I sold my crypto, I sold my stocks, I sold alts, sold it all basically to sit in cash for a while. So that turned out to be an excellent move. And since then I've been waiting for this correction to finally play out. So anyway, I'm just going to start here in March, right? March 14th, the video that I did, I was saying, this is set up to make a really quick move down to 33K. It's a 15% drop. Obviously I can be wrong. And if the bulls would push it up over 42.6, then this prolongs the process. I would still expect a drop to 33K and below from there, right? So that's what ended up playing out. And that's what I did not want to see. I didn't want to see that because it just prolonged. For the past 2 months, we've had just choppy action. It's been absolutely awful to try to trade anything with any high probability. So obviously that played out, prolong the process. That's what I was worried about. I was really just hoping that we were going to get that 33K from there. Obviously by the next update, I was wrong about that. I was wrong about Bitcoin dropping immediately, and that sucked. But you know what? It is what it is. At some point, I was short-term bullish here for literally about 3 days. As Bitcoin went above 45.8, but I was not convinced. We had no 5-wave impulse. We had no clear indication of a bottom being in place. And so I was expecting this to just be a scalp long maybe, and then shorting from like 50Ks, but then it just immediately turned around and said, you know what, not gonna do it. So let's see, this was on the 1st of April. April Fool's Day, turned bullish. And then the 4th of April, I was still bullish. And then by the next Monday, I think, the next Monday, April the 8th. So it was about a week of potential, maybe we've got short-term bullishness. And then a week later, as Bitcoin was in the, 40-something level, I said, all right, bears are aiming for sub 33K again, right? And then here, next update, a few days later on the 11th. Now we've got an 80% chance, right? Bears are in full control. April 15th, I'm still 100% cash. I've got leveraged Bitcoin and altcoin shorts. Holding on. We were stuck in corrective action, but still expecting further downside. Then here, we had a small bounce April 18th before we likely go lower. Obviously that happened as well. Here we go, April 22nd, still targeting sub 33K. How much more chop are we going to get? And then we had our answer finally. Actually, it was just weeks. It was weeks of chop here. Had our answer finally right here. May 5th, finally had our dump. Thank goodness, right? Finally some bearish follow through. That was my last video, I believe. Yep. So there we go. And I did my update on the last video and just said, as long as we're below 48.2, bears are in immediate control. Need to push Bitcoin below 37.6, which obviously they've achieved now as we are sitting currently at 31K. So here, as long as they push it below there, we should see 32 to 34 and eventually sub 30 before the correction finally ends, yada, yada, yada. All right, after we get to around 33, possible we get some more chop before the final push down, which was around 27, 28. That can change as further action develops. So now let us take a look at what that further action is. Okay, so just as a review here, in the macro, I am looking for an end to this larger fourth wave right here. That's what I'm waiting on. Larger fourth wave, end to it. We should see 5 waves down within that. Here was our first wave and second wave. That much is clear. Now, what has become a little bit unclear now is that, is this an extension on this third wave with a fourth wave bounce up and a fifth wave lower? Is this the major third wave? Is that the major third wave with then a fourth wave bounce and a fifth wave lower, as I've got here in the blue count, which I am going to modify just slightly? Or is the orange count correct, in which this is 1, 2, and we're actually still within wave 3? That is a possibility still, with a 4 and a 5 then to come even lower. So let's take a look. I did this earlier for members, but I'm going to zoom in here a little bit and just kind of modify these counts a little bit, because Bitcoin did push down a little further. I've thought we were bottoming, a couple times now. Hasn't actually happened yet, but we're just going to go ahead and assume once again that the bottom is in here. Okay, so in the orange count, that basically says that this is part of a micro 3 within the larger 3, and we should still expect a 4 and a 5. So let's look at that and see what that does for us. In that case, this would be the end of that 3, and our 2 is back here. So our resistance area for this now is down here at this point. Okay, that's orange resistance zone right there. So basically 31.6 to 33.2. 31.6 to 33.2 would be fourth wave resistance before a fifth wave drop to end the larger third wave right here between 26.5 and 27.6. Okay, so that would be a significant extension on the third wave, and could be trouble for Bitcoin, because I really don't want to see it go below 24. And if that's just the end of the third wave, it's quite likely to go below 24, let's be honest. So that is orange. Blue is, maybe I missed something in here. At this point I just saw the 1, 2, 3, 4. I was expecting a bottom in 5 here, right? But we didn't really see that play out. So maybe this is the bottom of 5 right here, and we just had a really truncated little bounce there before pushing further down. Possibility, I'm not sure. But as we get further down here, we see more and more capitulation events like this. We may see a lot of these microwave counts get really blurry, right? But in the larger picture, with this being 1 and this being 2, the blue fib here that I have is drawn from the top of 4 down to 1 up to 2. That's a fib extension. That's the blue fib lines that we have right here. And this is a very reasonable area for the larger 3 to end. Okay, it hit the 1.764 almost exactly right here. So more typical is this region between the 1382 and the 1618, but an extension down 1 wave or 1 fib degree is really not that big of a deal in the scheme of things. So it is possible that's our major third right there. So that being the case, then we would probably move this fourth wave support down by 1 degree as well, or fourth wave resistance rather, by 1 degree as well, to right about here, most likely. We can get a different look at that by doing this is 3 and this is 2. Let's see where that says resistance is for blue. That overlaps right here. And so here we are in some messiness where either one of these counts can be correct, sort of in this area right here. So we may not have a clear answer because of that in the near future. And then this, if we extend this down one wave or one fib degree on the blue fibs, we're in this area. The yellow fibs would project this area as the bottom for blue, so slightly lower. But anywhere, realistically, anywhere in here could be the end of the 5th wave, if that count is correct. So let me delete that now. I'm going to leave my blue fib extension lines on here because that's based on the macro. And then I just want to look at orange one more time here and say if this is in fact an extension on the 3rd, that's our 2nd there. This orange comes down now to here for our 4th wave. And then this gets moved down here for the 5th wave. Okay, so here, once again, we're waiting for the end to 5 of C of 4, and we are in between two possibilities. One of them says orange 5, one of them says blue 5, and at this point in time, the only one that I'm really comfortable with and still seeing a new high is blue. If we get this orange and we come down here below 24K, I get really, really worried then about the longer term prospects. I don't see any way that we can already have struck the top in Bitcoin based on the macro chart. It does not make sense. And so I lean towards this. That is absolutely what I lean towards. If we see orange instead though, I'm going to get really protective. You know, I am going to be spot buying all this area, but I will probably stop out. If it goes below 24K for more than like a day, I am going to stop out of my spot positions just to be on the safe side. Because it really does not look good to break that level. And even 25K, I don't really want to see it break, but somewhere in the 24 to 25K region should hold if Bitcoin is going to go up to the 100 to 130 target that we have. So there we have it. You know, the main question right now is which one of these plays out. And so the answer might come if this bounce that's forming right now only gets here. And especially, you know, the lower end of that. If all we get is right about here, which we're pretty darn near at this point. That's like 31.8. You know, if we get that lower region and then press down into this region here, I'm going to get kind of worried because like that should be the end, but we're going to get really, really careful right about here. That's the danger zone we need to push through. If this rejects and gives us a new low, it's orange count. I get protective. Next bounce may be corrective, and we may drop even lower from there. So that would kind of turn me bearish more in the long term if orange plays out. But as long as blue plays out and we get, you know, maybe a little bit more of a bounce here, it doesn't have to go super high, but you know, the bottom there is about 32.2. But it could extend as high as 35-ish before pushing down. If we get into that blue zone, then this is probably bottom. I'm still going to be really wary right here, so I want that level on my chart so I can really, really watch it closely. That's danger, danger, danger. Once we get into this low zone and then bounce, if we can't break through that, that is a bad sign. We're going to need to get through 34.1 to be perfectly honest. And actually that, I can't say that with certainty right now because that depends on this fib retracement here. Wherever this next push down ends will change that, right? But we're going to need to get through the 0.5 fib at that point. But basically, you know, this let's just use this red line that I've had, 32,841. That's the previous low that I've been waiting for us to break forever. So anyway, that's what we'll be watching. I'll keep updating, of course, and keep an eye on all of this. I am pretty heavily leaning in favor of the blue count and just kind of having a blurry wave count within this micro count within 3. But the bigger picture that we all need to keep in mind is that this is very likely anywhere in here. It's very likely the end of a major correction before we have a major reversal. And that remains true as long as we are above 24K, basically. And you know what, honestly, orange count, top of it is about 24.2. So realistically, could that play out there and still be okay? Yes. The lower bound of this I don't like. I don't want to see it go down there. So that starts getting kind of hairy down in that region. All right. Anyway, I think that sums up everything for the most part. I am expecting some form of bounce here in the near future, or at least sideways consolidation. It is always possible that this just continues pushing down, does a more direct route. If we just see this keep breaking down, to me, honestly, that gives even more fuel to the bulls, because it's just pushing down something that's so oversold already that it's quite likely we see a strong reversal then from that point. But obviously, for clarity's sake, I would like to see a 4 and a 5 actually play out. So there we have it. 2 possible paths, and then a third path of just, maybe it just keeps dropping direct. But in any case, like I said, I am expecting a major bottom here at any point. I've begun spot buys at this point. The majority of my spot buys are centered around the 28K region. That is where I believe the bottom is going to be seen. But Bitcoin does like to extend sometimes, so going down a little further, I've got buys down to 25K basically. But the brunt of them are sub 30K. I've bought a little bit right now. I think I'm about 8% in, 7% in, something like that. I looked at how much of my total portfolio is in Bitcoin right now. I'm about 7%, and 93% in cash. Actually 92.5%. There was one alt that I bought already with 0.5% of my portfolio. But in any case, a little further down, and we'll get closer. If we get to 25K, I'll be about 60%, I think. 60% of my portfolio will be in Bitcoin at that point. I'm not going completely into it, but a large portion will go into it because the risk reward here is really gigantic. All right, everybody, that is everything now. I will talk to you all on Friday. So make sure to check out the macro. I'm going to put this video back on here, macro view, so you understand more what I'm talking about on the micro. And hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, helps me out and keeps you informed as we enter the next phase of the market, whether that is a breakdown or a bullish reversal. I'm obviously in the bullish reversal camp at this point in time. All right, everybody, have a good night.